Okay, so you landed an interview for a Wood Caulker position.
Congrats!
That's awesome. We're going to help you get ready for it.
Yeah, this is your deep dive into prepping for those tough questions.
Exactly. We'll walk through some of the most common ones.
And we'll share some insider tips from RoleCatcher's career guides.
And maybe even throw in some fun facts about wooden ships along the way.
Oh, definitely gotta love those wooden ships.
So let's jump right in. The first question on the interview guide, Wood Caulker, is
Let's see.
what inspired you to become a wood caulker?
Okay, so this is your chance to really show that you've done your research.
Right, like you didn't just stumble upon this career listing.
Yeah, and that you genuinely connect with the craft.
So don't just say, I like working with my hands.
No, think deeper than that.
The guide actually mentions that interviewers are looking for passion.
Oh, absolutely. They want to see that spark.
That you're really excited about this.
Yeah. The career guide, Wood Caulker, actually highlights how important it is to understand the role of a wood caulker in ensuring the watertight integrity of a ship.
Right. It's not just about aesthetics.
No, it's about safety and functionality.
It's about keeping that ship afloat.
Exactly. You could even talk about being drawn to the specific challenges of the job.
Like working in tight spaces or mastering the use of traditional tools.
Exactly.
And if you're struggling to articulate that passion, RoleCatcher's AI can help you find the right words.
Oh, that's a great point.
You can actually upload your current answers and get tailored feedback.
Wow, based on the specific job you're interviewing for.
It's amazing.
That's like having a personal writing coach.
Okay, so moving on to the next question from the interview guide.
All right, hit me with it.
How do you approach a caulking project?
That seems pretty
I'm
straightforward.
sure they're looking for something specific.
Oh, they definitely are.
What do you think they want to hear?
Well, this question's all about meticulousness and problem solving.
Okay, so like attention to detail.
Absolutely. Imagine you're explaining your process to someone who's never seen caulking done before.
Got it. So walk them through each step.
Yes. From prepping the area to choosing the right materials.
And don't just name drop tools like caulking irons.
Right. Explain what they are and how they're used.
Like a caulking iron is a specialized chisel that helps drive the caulking material deep into the seams of the hull.
Perfect. That shows you really understand the tools of the trade.
The career guide actually mentions the importance of knowing how to use both traditional materials like oakum and hemp
Oh, yeah, those are the classics.
and modern polymers as well.
Right. Got to keep up with the times.
So showcasing that breadth of knowledge
It shows you're adaptable.
and well-rounded.
Exactly. Now imagine the interviewer follows up with, have you ever encountered a challenging caulking project?
Okay.
And how did you overcome it?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's their way of assessing your problem-solving skills in a real-world context.
So I need a good story.
This is where you share a specific anecdote.
About a time I faced a difficult situation.
Yes. Maybe a tricky seam or a material that wasn't cooperating.
How I used my expertise to find a solution.
Exactly. And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you practice structuring those stories.
Right, so I sound clear and concise in the interview.
You got it.
All right, next question. How do you prioritize safety on a caulking project?
Now, this is crucial.
Yeah, especially given the environment.
Exactly. Remember, you're often working on ships, sometimes in confined spaces.
Right, so there are inherent risks,
The interviewer wants to see that you're not just aware of those risks.
but that I actively take steps to mitigate them.
Exactly. So instead of just saying, I follow safety guidelines,
You should talk about specific actions I take.
precisely discuss your knowledge of safety protocols.
My use of personal protective equipment.
Yes, PPE. And how you approach potentially hazardous tasks.
Like working with hot pitch or using heating devices for marine glue. And the career guide emphasizes the importance of communication and teamwork when it comes to safety.
Oh, absolutely.
So I could talk about how I make sure everyone on the team is on the same page and looking out for each other.
That's a great addition. Now think about how you'd respond to a follow-up question.
Okay, like what?
Can you describe a situation where you had to address a safety concern on a project?
That's a good one.
It is, be prepared to share an anecdote that demonstrates your commitment to safety.
Not just for myself, but for the entire team.
Exactly. This is your chance to really showcase your proactive thinking.
I'm starting to see how important it is to think beyond just the basic answers.
Oh, yeah, you got to anticipate those follow-up questions.
It's a chess game.
It is. And RoleCatcher can be your chess coach.
Okay, before we get too deep into that analogy, let's move on.
All right, what's next?
The interview guide also asks, what types of caulking materials are you familiar with?
Ah, this is where you can really showcase your knowledge.
Right. We touched on traditional and modern materials earlier.
Now's your chance to elaborate.
So oakum hemp cotton.
Yeah, and then all those different types of modern polymers.
It's like a whole material world out there.
It is. And don't just list them.
Right. I need to explain their properties.
And when you would choose one over the other?
So for example,
Oakum is a traditional fiber made from hemp that's great for absorbing sealant.
while polyurethane sealant is a more modern option that offers excellent flexibility and water resistance.
Perfect.
I'm starting to get a sense of just how much knowledge is packed into this seemingly simple craft.
Oh, it's more than meets the eye.
What kind of follow-up question could they ask here?
Let me think.
Okay.
Maybe something like, can you describe a situation where you had to choose between different caulking materials? What factors influenced your decision?
That's a good one.
It forces you to really demonstrate your understanding of those nuances.
Right. And it shows that I can apply that knowledge to make informed decisions in practical situations.
Exactly. The career guide can be a lifesaver for brushing up on those details.
It really is like a mini encyclopedia of wood caulking.
It is. Now, the interview guide also suggests preparing for this question. What types of caulking tools are you familiar with?
Our time to bring out the heavy artillery.
Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Of course, this is my chance to list all the tools I've used and explain how they work.
Exactly. Caulking irons, different types of mallets, heating devices, even specialized tools for applying specific materials.
The career guide even mentions a tool called a serving mallet,
Oh, yeah.
which is specifically used for driving an oakum.
I know, right? Who knew?
It's amazing how each tool has its specific purpose in history.
And don't forget, you can use this question to highlight your experience,
Like I can say, I've used a variety of caulking irons in my previous role,
including both traditional hand-forged irons and more modern pneumatic irons.
showing I'm comfortable with both traditional and modern methods.
Exactly. And be ready for a potential follow-up question.
Like,
Can you demonstrate how you would use a caulking iron to properly seal a seam? Oh, wow. They might actually ask for demonstration.
they might, so it's a good idea to practice handling those tools.
And explaining the process clearly and concisely.
Precisely.
Note to self-practice makes perfect.
Always a good motto.
All right, let's move on to a question that focuses on organizational skills.
Okay.
How do you ensure that your caulking work is completed on time and within budget?
Ah, the time management question.
I always get a little nervous with those.
Don't worry, this is your chance to highlight your planning, organization, and problem-solving skills.
Okay, so how do I approach this one?
Talk about your process, how you break down a caulking project into manageable tasks,
Okay,
how you estimate timeframes,
got it.
how you track your progress and adjust your plan as needed.
Makes sense, and I shouldn't forget about the budget either.
Absolutely. Mention strategies for minimizing material waste and ensuring cost-effectiveness.
And maybe mention specific software or tools I use for project management.
If applicable, yeah. For example, you could say, I use a project management app to create detailed timelines, track my progress, and manage my budget.
This helps me stay organized and ensure that projects are completed efficiently.
Perfect. That shows my tech savviness and my commitment to staying organized.
Exactly. And if you're feeling stuck, RoleCatcher can help you identify those key points.
That resonate with a specific job.
Right. Their AI can analyze the job description and suggest improvements to your answers.
It's like having a personal assistant for the interview process.
Now let's tackle another challenging question.
Okay, bring it on.
How do you troubleshoot caulking problems?
Problem-solving time.
This question is designed to assess your ability to identify, analyze, and solve those problems related to caulking.
So think about common issues like leaks, gaps, or material failures.
Exactly. How would you approach those problems?
So I should have some specific examples in mind.
Absolutely. Think back to your experience.
Okay.
Have you ever encountered a stubborn leak or a seam that just wouldn't seal properly? How did you diagnose the problem, and what steps did you take to fix it?
Right. It's not just about fixing the problem, but also explaining my thought process.
Yes. Walk the interviewer through your reasoning.
How I arrived at the solution,
It shows you're not just reacting.
but thinking critically and applying my knowledge to find the best solution.
And remember, the career guide has a wealth of information on potential challenges and troubleshooting techniques.
It's a great resource.
So preparation is key.
Anticipate the questions, think about my experiences, have those stories ready to go,
And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you refine those stories.
and tailor them to the specific job.
Speaking of RoleCatcher,
Yes, Let's talk about how their AI can be my secret weapon in this job search.
It's more than just practicing answers.
Right.
Their AI tailoring feature can analyze your resume and cover letter.
Suggesting improvements to help match the specific keywords and skills the employer is looking for.
It's like having a personal editor who understands the language of hiring.
Okay, I love it.
And they have a huge library of practice questions, just like the ones we're discussing.
It's like a one-stop shop for interview prep.
All right, so we've got the questions, we've got the career insights, and we've got RoleCatcher to help polish everything.
But there's one more question from the interview guide that caught my eye.
Oh, which one?
What is your experience working with different types of wood?
Ah, yes. This is where you can demonstrate your adaptability.
And my understanding of how wood properties affect the caulking process.
Exactly. It's not just about knowing how to caulk, it's about understanding the material you're working with.
So talk about the specific types of wood you've worked with.
Like oak, cedar, pine, teak, mahogany.
Ooh, teak and mahogany sound fancy.
They are often used in boat building because of their durability and water resistance.
So I can mention any challenges I've overcome when working with different wood types.
Absolutely. You could talk about how you had to adjust your caulking techniques to accommodate different wood densities, textures, or grain patterns.
For example, I could say, I've found that oak requires a different approach than pine because of its density and tendency to split.
I've learned to use specific techniques and tools to avoid damaging the wood while ensuring a secure seal.
That's a great example.
It shows you understand those nuances.
And that I can adapt my techniques accordingly.
And don't forget, the Career Guide provides a great overview of the types of wood commonly used in shipbuilding.
Being a wood caulker is about so much more than just slapping some sealant on a boat.
You got that right. It's a craft that requires knowledge, skill, and a deep understanding of materials and techniques.
I'm starting to see that.
It's a craft with a rich history and a bright future.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We sure have.
We've tackled some tough questions from the interview guide. Wood caulker.
Yes, we did.
Explored insights from the career guide. Wood caulker.
Absolutely.
And even touched on how RoleCatcher can help refine those answers and tailor your application.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But there's still more to come. In the next part, we'll delve into how to showcase your passion and enthusiasm for this craft.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
And we'll explore some additional resources that can help you prepare for your interview.
It's going to be great. Stay tuned.
We'll also discuss potential career paths for wood caulkers, so you can start thinking about those long-term goals in this exciting field.
We've talked a lot about the technical stuff, but let's not forget about the human element.
Oh, right, like showing personality.
Yeah, interviewers also want to see your passion for the craft. Remember that first question. What inspired you to become a wood caulker?
Yeah.
Let that enthusiasm shine through.
So it's okay to get a little personal.
Absolutely. Maybe tell a story about how you fell in love with wooden boats.
Like maybe I was inspired by a family member who worked in a shipyard.
Exactly. Or had a childhood fascination with model ships.
I can see how that would make you stand out.
Those personal touches make you memorable.
Show your genuine interest.
And passion is often tied to a thirst for knowledge.
Okay. So when they ask about staying current with new techniques,
Right.
don't just list industry publications.
Talk about something specific.
Yeah, a specific article or innovation that excited you.
Oh, like that article I read about using lasers to scan wooden holes for imperfections before caulking.
Perfect. Show them you're not just keeping up.
But that I'm genuinely interested.
The evolution of the craft.
Now, I know we've been focusing on the interview guide,
Right.
but the career guide, Wood Caulker, also mentions advancement paths.
Oh yeah, once you've mastered caulking,
You can move on to bigger things.
you might consider roles like shipwright or carpenter.
Wow, a shipwright. That sounds impressive.
It is. They're responsible for the overall construction and repair of wooden ships.
So my caulking skills could lead to a whole new career path.
Exactly. The career guide even suggests joining professional organizations
Oh, okay.
or attending industry events to start building connections.
And I bet RoleCatcher could help me find relevant groups or events in my area. Absolutely. Their platform connects you with a whole community of professionals
That's awesome.
and provides insights into different roles and career paths.
It's like RoleCatcher has my back.
They do. They want to empower job seekers.
To not just get the job, but thrive.
So before you walk into that interview, remember, this isn't just about getting a job. It's about becoming part of a lineage of skilled craftspeople.
Who have been keeping ships afloat for centuries. Wow, that's a powerful thought.
It is. Your enthusiasm and genuine interest will make you stand out.
Okay, I'm feeling pumped,
Good.
but also a little nervous. What if I freeze up?
It's normal to be nervous.
Yeah.
But remember, the interviewer is a person too.
They just want to get to know me.
Exactly. So be yourself, let your personality shine through.
And it's okay to ask questions too, right?
And of course it shows you're curious and engaged.
Sometimes my mind goes blank, though.
I get it.
It happens.
But even a simple question like, what are some of the biggest challenges facing wood caulkers today? Shows you're thinking about the bigger picture.
Right. And those kinds of questions can spark a good conversation.
Make the whole interview feel more natural.
You mentioned working on historical ships earlier.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Oh, it's challenging, but incredibly rewarding.
Is it really like stepping back in time?
It is. You're helping to preserve history.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What's the most challenging project you've worked on?
One that sticks out was the restoration of a 19th century schooner.
Wow.
The hull was in rough shape.
I bet.
We had to use a combination of traditional and modern techniques.
What were some of the biggest challenges?
One of the biggest was sourcing traditional materials like oakum and hemp.
Oh, wow. Those aren't easy to find.
No, we had to do some digging to find suppliers.
Did you have to learn any specialized techniques?
Oh, absolutely. Traditional caulking methods are very different.
So you're not just a wood caulker. You're a historian and archaeologist.
You could say that.
This job is about so much more than just caulking.
It is. It's about history, craftsmanship, problem solving.
I'm officially hooked.
That's the spirit. Go into that interview with confidence, enthusiasm, and a genuine desire to learn.
And with RoleCatcher by my side, I know we'll be well prepared.
They'll give you that extra edge.
Okay, before we get too carried away,
Right.
there's still one more part to this deep dive.
Yes. We'll leave you with some final thoughts.
As we prepare for our interviews
We'll touch on the evolving role of a wood caulker.
and what the future might hold. All right, so we've covered so much in this deep dive,
We have.
from interview questions to career paths.
Now, all the passion behind it.
But before we wrap up,
Yeah,
I know you have something for us to think about.
I do. We've talked about the traditional side of things.
The methods and tools.
But the career guide, Wood Caulker, also hints at the future of this job.
Right, all the new technologies and materials coming into play.
Exactly. So here's a question as you prep for this interview. How do you see the role of the wood caulker evolving in the coming years?
Wow, that's a big one.
It makes you think beyond just getting the job.
Yeah, take your
Think about all the advancements in shipbuilding,
Hmm.
composites, computer-aided design, even robotics.
How will those impact the wood caulker?
Exactly.
I guess it means they'll need to be adaptable,
Oh, yeah.
willing to learn new skills,
To stay relevant.
maybe mastering digital tools or new types of sealants.
Exactly.
But I bet there will always be a need for the human touch,
I think so, too.
that skilled hand that understands wood.
And those traditional techniques,
It's like what we said about preserving history.
that connection to the past,
It goes beyond just the technical stuff.
and that passion will resonate with any interviewer.
The ones who really understand this craft.
I'm feeling inspired.
Me too. Ready to tackle this interview.
You got this. Remember, confidence and genuine interest are key.
And if I get stuck,
RoleCatcher is there.
my personal cheerleading squad with AI-powered tools.
Go out there, ace that interview.
Embark on this exciting journey.
Into the world of wooden ships and the craft of the wood caulker.
To all our listeners,
Thanks for joining us.
we hope this deep dive was helpful.
No matter what career you're after,
Passion, preparation, and a willingness to learn will get you far.
maybe someday you'll be sharing your expertise too.
Inspiring others
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.
and keep exploring.